Imagine uh, being trapped in an actively hostile dimension. Like you were surrounded by giant man-eating spiders.
Oh, yeah. Literally the word.
Right. And legions of demonic assassins are actively tracking your scent. You're exhausted, you're bruised, and you are entirely unsure if your soul is going to be ripped from your physical body, before breakfast.
Just a typical Tuesday.
Exactly. But amidst all of that catastrophic, apocalyptic danger, the absolute scariest thing you have to face today is, well, it's defining your relationship.
It sounds totally absurd when you frame it that way. I mean, it really does.
It does.
But psychological self-preservation often overrides physical preservation, you know? When the world around you is just pure chaos, the emotional walls you build become your primary shelter.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Ah.
Well, welcome to the deep dive, everyone. If you've been listening to us tear through the source material of this sweeping multi-realm saga, we've seen some intensely crazy things.
We definitely have.
We've talked about the politics of the underworld, the jurisdictional disputes between ancient mythologies, and just the sheer logistics of moving souls from Earth to the afterlife.
Which is a whole bureaucratic nightmare on its own.
Oh, completely. But today, we are shifting our focus entirely. We are taking the microscope off the battlefields and zooming in on a very specific, incredibly relatable, emotional core hiding in all that fire and brimstone.
We're dissecting the ultimate ill-fated situationship.
Yes, we are. And I want you, the listener, to keep this question in the back of your mind as we go through this whole deep dive today. How far would you go to avoid admitting you're in love?
It is a phenomenal question. I mean, truly, to set the stage for anyone just joining us, or, if you just need a refresher on the mechanics of this universe, we are looking at transcripts focusing on two wildly different individuals who have just been thrust together.
Right.
First, we have Reggie. He is literally a demigod, the son of Zeus, who has somehow ended up as the reluctant champion of hell.
Which, just mechanically speaking, means he is fundamentally out of his element. Like, he operates on this code of Greek and Roman honor, right? And he's dropped into an environment where honor is considered a tactical weakness.
A total liability.
And riding shotgun with him is Bartholomew.
Right, and Bartholomew is what the text refer to as a ghosty.
The ghosty.
Yeah. In the hierarchical structure of this specific underworld, a ghosty is a newly deceased human soul that hasn't fully transfigured into a demon, nor have they been completely obliterated.
They're just kind of stuck.
Exactly. They are at the absolute bottom of the food chain. And Bartholomew has been down there for 20 years. Before he teams up with Reggie, his official title was a water boy for a demonic cabal.
I read that in the notes, actually, but what does that actually mean? Like, what is a demonic cabal and why they even need a water boy?
Well, a cabal in this context is essentially a localized gang or syndicate that controls specific territories or resources within the circles of hell.
Okay, so like organized crime.
Very much so. They constantly vie for power. The water boy, or as Bartholomew brutally corrects it, the water bitch is the lowest caste of indentured servitude.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they fetch, they carry, they are used as bait, and they are entirely disposable. Bartholomew has been kicked around, abused, traded, and betrayed by every single entity he has ever aligned himself with for 2 decades.
So you have a noble, incredibly powerful demigod who doesn't know the rules, and a traumatized, cynical human soul who knows the rules way too well.
It's quite the dynamic.
It really is. And here's our thesis for today's exploration. If you walked up to Reggie and Bartholomew and asked them what their relationship status was, they would vehemently deny anything romantic.
Oh, absolutely. They'd probably be offended.
Right. They would tell you they are just bros,
Yeah.
tactical allies united by this desperate escape plan.
And they both actively use past relationships as a defensive shield. Reggie insists he is tearing through the underworld solely to save a man named Antonius.
His ex from Earth.
Exactly. And Bartholomew constantly brings up his own ex, Cassellus, who is supposedly safe over in Hades.
But if we actually look at their actions, specifically focusing on the events leading up to and during their disastrous date in episode 12, the text screams something entirely different.
It really does.
They're deeply, irrevocably in love with each other. It's just buried under all these layers of survival instincts. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's look at the very moment this unbreakable bond is forged. Because it doesn't start with, like, a romantic gaze across a crowded room.
No, definitely not.
It starts with a psychic invasion.
The mechanics of this scene are genuinely terrifying. The source material drops us directly into Reggie's consciousness. He is asleep, but his mind has been breached by Satan.
And this isn't a physical fight, right? It's a war of attrition for Reggie's autonomy.
Exactly.
I really want to break down how Satan operates here because it's not what you'd expect. He isn't threatening to torture Reggie with hellfire. The language he uses is deeply uh, seductive.
Very intimate.
Yeah, he's whispering things like, taste me and take me. Satan manifests Reggie wearing this pitch black onyx armor, and the terrifying part is the armor feels good.
It's comfortable.
Right. Satan tells him it fits him snugly, that it's perfect, that Reggie was always meant to be his.
And that is the insidious nature of psychic attacks in this universe. Satan understands that a demigod's will cannot easily be broken by physical pain. I mean, Reggie is the son of Zeus. He is bred for physical endurance.
So you have to attack the mind.
You have to attack his sense of purpose. He offers Reggie power and belonging disguised as submission. The onyx armor represents a release from the exhausting burden of being a hero. Satan is essentially saying, stop fighting, let me carry the weight, and in exchange, just give me your soul.
Fortunately, Satan's firewall isn't completely impenetrable. The goddess Athena actually manages to intervene in the dream space.
Which is a huge relief.
Yeah, she acts as a counterbalance, reminding Reggie of his true identity. She strips away the illusion of the armor, reminding him he is a champion of truth. Reggie rejects the offer, declaring he would rather die as an Olympian on his feet than live as Satan's subject on his knees.
Which triggers a violent expulsion from the dream state. I mean, Reggie jolts awake in the physical world, thrashing, covered in sweat. He's essentially suffering the metaphysical equivalent of decompression sickness.
And the second his eyes snap open, Bartholomew is right there. But crucially, Bartholomew doesn't, offer a hug or ask about his feelings. His immediate reaction is to frantically check Reggie's back.
He's looking for marks.
Right, he's checking for marks of possession.
Because in hell, compassion gets you killed. Bartholomew is operating on pure institutional knowledge. When an entity is psychically breached by Satan or a high-ranking demon, it leaves a physical brand, a mark of possession, usually on the spine or the back of the neck.
So if he finds a mark,
If Reggie is marked, it means Reggie is no longer Reggie. He is a meat puppet for the devil. Bartholomew checking his back is a triage protocol. He is trying to figure out if the demigod he is sleeping next to is about to rip his head off.
wow. But once he realizes the skin is clear, the adrenaline just crashes, and we get what can only be described as a catastrophic trauma dump.
A total collapse.
Yeah, Bartholomew just shatters. He looks at this massive demigod and unleashes 20 years of pent-up terror. He explicitly details why he is so paranoid. He tells Reggie about being sold into slavery, about being almost skinned alive, almost eaten by demons, and nearly thrown into a lake of fire.
It is a vital moment of exposition for the listener, sure, but chronologically for Bartholomew, it is a desperate plea. He is looking at Reggie, acknowledging Reggie's sheer power, and asking the most vulnerable question you can ask in a survival environment.
Right, why should I trust you?
Exactly. Everyone else has used me as currency. What stops you from doing the exact same thing? He needs an anchor.
And Reggie's response is really the inciting incident of this entire deep dive.
Yeah.
He doesn't offer a casual reassurance. He doesn't just say, don't worry about it, man, I've got you.
No, he goes all in.
He sits up and delivers a formal multilingual vow. He invokes his mother, Diana of Corinth. He invokes his father, saying, Great Jupiter Optimus Maximus. He swears that he is Bartholomew's friend and that he will never ever abandon him.
Notice the specific phrasing there, too. He invites a lightning bolt from Jupiter or the flames of the lake of fire itself to strike him dead if he ever breaks that promise.
Okay, let's pause on that. How does that actually work?
Ooh.
If we are in hell, which is Satan's domain, does a Roman god like Jupiter have any real metaphysical jurisdiction to enforce an oath?
It's a brilliant question of supernatural bureaucracy, honestly. The text implies that hell is a localized dimension. While Satan holds supreme executive power there, the old gods, the Olympians, operate on a higher cosmic frequency.
So it supersedes Satan.
Pretty much. Invoking Jupiter Optimus Maximus isn't just saying a name. It is drawing a direct, energetic tether between the deepest pit of hell and Mount Olympus. Reggie is essentially placing a celestial tracking beacon on his own soul. If he breaks the vow, his own divine bloodline will exact the punishment, completely bypassing Satan's authority.
So Reggie is putting his eternal existence on the line, permanently, to soothe the anxiety of a guy he's been traveling with for a very short amount of time.
Exactly.
And Bartholomew's reaction to this monumentally epic declaration, he blinks, stunned, and says, wow, that was intense. Are we are we married now or something?
He uses humor as a deflector shield. He recognizes the gravity of what Reggie just did, and it terrifies him.
But I want to push back a little here and suggest that functionally, this isn't a joke. They are married.
In a weird way, yeah?
By the laws of whatever bizarre universe they're in, they just bypassed every single milestone of a normal relationship. They skipped the coffee date, they skipped meeting the parents, and they went straight into a magically binding ride-or-die blood pact.
That's true.
And because they wrapped this massive commitment in the aesthetic of a tactical survival strategy, they never actually have to admit how intensely romantic it is.
That framing makes perfect sense. If you define it as a survival pact, you completely remove the vulnerability of rejection. If Reggie abandons him, it's a tactical failure, not a heartbreak.
Right. And we see this tactical dynamic put to the test almost immediately. They don't even have time to process the marriage thing because they have to rob the devil.
As one does.
Yeah, as you do. They are fleeing Satan's guest room in Infernus Palace, and they have bundled up this massive pile of stolen spider silk sheets.
The spider silk is highly valuable contraband down there. They intend to use it as currency. But as they are sneaking through the corridors, they hit a major obstacle. They run dead into a massive palace guard named Noxon.
This scene is incredible. They are caught red-handed. The logical progression here is, a massive fight sequence, or they get thrown into a dungeon.
Which would be bad.
Very bad. Instead, Bartholomew steps in front of the demigod, looks up at this giant demonic guard, and instantly creates a cover story. He says, "Hi, I'm Bartholomew. I'm Reggie's boyfriend."
Let's actually analyze the choice of that specific persona. What's fascinating here is Bartholomew is an expert in the sociology of hell. He has to be, just to survive.
Right.
If you want to disarm a guard in a totalitarian environment, you have to present a scenario that completely aligns with the cultural norms of that environment. He could have claimed Reggie was his prisoner, or that he was Reggie's guide.
But a guide or a prisoner implies official business. And official business requires paperwork, passes, and, scrutiny.
Exactly. But hell's primary cultural export is self-indulgence. It is a realm built on instant gratification, gluttony, and lust. By leaning into the trope of a hypersexualized, demanding lover, Bartholomew basically makes them invisible.
He tells the guard straight to his face that they haven't had any alone time since the arena, and that he has an imperious need to, and I'm quoting the transcript directly here, suck his dick for days.
It completely reframes the situation. They are no longer heavily armed fugitives stealing contraband. They are just two incredibly horny denizens looking for a broom closet.
Yeah.
Noxon the guard understands lust. He understands impatience. It makes them seem completely distracted and harmless.
Okay, so that is the logical tactical reading, and I am totally disregarding it.
Wait, really? You don't buy the tactical angle?
I buy that it functions tactically, but I do not believe for 1 second that it was purely strategic calculation. Listen to the way Bartholomew delivers it. He doesn't give a clinical panicked excuse.
He does seem pretty natural at it.
He leans into the role with terrifying ease. He adds vivid, colorful details. An imperious need. That is a very specific phrasing. I'm looking at this as a massive Freudian slip.
Oh, interesting.
Bartholomew is taking a life-or-death situation where the stakes are so high that any behavior is justified, and he is using it as an excuse to verbalize his actual deeply suppressed desires.
Oh, I see what you mean.
The ruse provides him with total plausible deniability. If they survive and Reggie gets uncomfortable, Bartholomew can just shrug and say, "Hey man, I was just playing the part to keep us out of the torture chambers."
It's the perfect alibi for his own emotions. He gets to try on the reality he actually wants, free of any real consequence.
And the most surreal part of this entire encounter is Noxon's reaction. Noxon totally buys it. He literally calls them adorable lovebirds. We get this sudden jarring shift from epic fantasy to basically mundane sitcom.
Noxon is such a brilliant piece of world building. Here is a guard stationed in the Devil's Own palace, and he is completely preoccupied with his own domestic disputes. He agrees to let them walk, not for a bribe of the spider silk, but because he needs a favor.
Right.
He wants Reggie's autograph.
Because Reggie is a minor celebrity down there from his fights in the arena, and Noxon wants the autograph for his girlfriend, Desdona.
Who Noxon describes as a prop pagan hippie.
What on earth is a prop pagan hippie in the context of hell? I mean, really.
It implies a subculture within the damned. A prop pagan would be a soul or demon who idolizes the ancient pantheons like the Greek or Roman gods as a sort of countercultural movement against Satan's monotheistic corporate structure.
That's wild.
Yeah, so Desdona is essentially rebelling against the establishment by collecting memorabilia of an Olympian. And Noxon is currently in the doghouse with her because he failed to clean up their basement.
It is so incredibly banal. You have a demigod bound by blood oaths, signing an "I'm sorry" card for a demonic guard's girlfriend to get out of a messy basement dispute.
It's hilarious.
Noxon even converses with them in 4 languages, flexing his Greek and Latin, which leaves Bartholomew completely starstruck.
Oh,
And then Noxon waves them off by telling Bartholomew to go get Reggie taken care of because he deserves it.
a surprisingly wholesome interaction for Infernus Palace.
Seriously. And if sneaking out of the palace was the high-stakes meet-cute for their fake relationship, what happens next is undeniably their first actual date.
So having successfully navigated the palace, they managed to descend into the fourth circle, eventually arriving at Demonia City.
Let's paint the picture of Demonia City for the listener, because this isn't the fiery brimstone of the upper levels. This is basically an urban sprawl of suffering. It's grimy, it's chaotic, it operates on a barter economy. It is a sprawling metropolis populated by demons and damned souls just trying to get through eternity.
And Bartholomew navigates it perfectly. He brings them to a safe house owned by an old acquaintance, a demon named Koloff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Koloff is described as a massive, scaly green entity who wears size 37 shoes and keeps an alarming number of critters in cages around his living room.
Bartholomew uses those stolen spider silk sheets to buy them sanctuary.
Yeah.
They are finally safe. They have a moment to breathe. Now, the logical thing to do is rest, strategize, and lay low.
Right.
But what does Bartholomew do? He decides he wants to take Reggie out on the town.
Yeah.
He says he wants to get him out of the house.
It is the impulse of someone trying to impress a partner. He wants to play the host. He wants to show Reggie his world, the things he enjoys. So he takes the son of Jupiter to a local venue called the Pity Party Theater.
Specifically, to see a parody stage show called It's Always Sunny in Mephistopheles.
Naturally.
I want you to imagine the cultural whiplash here. Reggie is a man of antiquity, raised on the tragedies of Sophocles and the epics of Homer. And he is sitting in a grimy theater in hell watching demonic sitcoms.
The media consumed in Demonia City tells us everything we need to know about the sociology of the fourth circle. Entertainment here is entirely derived from Schadenfreude. You know, the pleasure derived from another's misfortune.
Right.
Before the main show, they watch a series of previews for other programs.
And these previews are genuinely horrifying. There is a reality competition show called Hell's Next Top Handmaid.
It's essentially a game show where the damned compete to become functional objects for the demonic elite. We see a clip of a human soul, a woman named Ana Lucia, undergoing a physical challenge to prove her worth as a pleasure couch. It's just awful.
When she fails to support the required weight, the punishment is immediate and visceral. I mean, her hands are severed on screen.
And the audience in the theater thinks this is the pinnacle of comedy. Then a preview plays for Vex in the City, starring a 30,000-year-old demoness aiming to conquer Earth, played by Kim Cattrall, which, by the way, is an amazing casting note by the universe, and Bartholomew is just eating it up.
Oh, she loves it.
He tells Reggie he identifies as a Barry Bitshaw. He genuinely enjoys this stuff.
Well, because Bartholomew is desensitized.
Yeah.
He has to be. If you allow yourself to feel empathy for every severed hand or tortured soul in hell, you will lose your mind in an hour.
Yeah, you wouldn't survive.
His laughter is a callus built over 2 decades of surviving. He views the cruelty as a harmless fiction because his daily reality is often much worse.
But Reggie hasn't built that callus. Reggie is sitting in this dark theater watching Ana Lucia get mutilated, and he is utterly appalled. He is quietly praying to Aphrodite for the woman's soul. He is looking at Bartholomew laughing, and he just cannot comprehend it. It's a huge disconnect.
Think about the last time you went on a first date with someone and they took you to a movie, and halfway through you realize their sense of humor is completely, fundamentally opposed to your moral compass. It's that sinking feeling of, oh no, we are entirely incompatible.
It is a cosmic scale, disastrous date. The gap in their lived experiences has never been wider.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. This is the pivotal detail. Reggie does not leave.
He stays.
He doesn't stand up, lecture Bartholomew on morality, and storm out. He's physically uncomfortable, yes. He's disturbed. But he sits through the entire thing. He even tries to engage, He asks Bartholomew what are previews. He makes a conscious effort to understand the mechanics of Bartholomew's culture, even if he finds it repulsive.
That is an incredible display of emotional endurance.
And Bartholomew isn't doing this maliciously. He isn't trying to torture Reggie. He genuinely thinks this is a fun night out. It's a clumsy, deeply flawed attempt to share his joy with the man he cares about.
He's just trying to show him a good time in the only way he knows how.
Exactly. It is an act of profound intimacy disguised as a crude, gory excursion. They were both stretching themselves past their comfort zones, trying to bridge this massive divide between them.
And we see that cultural divide highlighted even further during the intermission when they encounter a demon named Tonk.
Oh man, Tonk. We have to talk about Tonk.
Tonk operates a side hustle in the theater lobby. He gets lesser demons heavily intoxicated, amputates their appendages, and crafts the severed parts into high-end adult toys.
He is literally standing in the lobby with a severed demon appendage preserved in a wine jug. And when Reggie looks at him in absolute bewilderment, Tonk doesn't apologize. Tonk defends it as modern art.
Anti-exism art, he calls it.
Right, he gives this pretentious, convoluted speech about how the disassociation of the male member from the female receptacle makes a profound statement about gender dynamics in the underworld.
It is grotesque absurdity. But in Demonius City, it is a valid artistic movement. Tonk is an artisan. It forces Reggie to realize that Bartholomew's reality doesn't operate on a binary of good and evil. It operates on a spectrum of bizarre, normalized madness.
Eventually, the date ends. They leave the noise, the severed hands, and the avant-garde appendage art behind, and they retreat back to Koloff's safe house. The adrenaline fades. The silence sets in. And this brings us to a conversation that is, frankly, excruciating to analyze because of how close they come to the truth.
They are sitting close together, hashing out the logistics of their escape. But the atmosphere in a safe house after a long, strange night naturally invites vulnerability. The conversation drifts from the how of their mission to the why.
Reggie looks at Bartholomew, and you have to imagine the courage it takes for this stoic, ancient warrior to formulate this question. He asks, have you ever been in love, like really in love with the guy you didn't deserve, but didn't really give the notice, time, or attention to and quit yourself when he left?
We, the audience, have the omniscient context here. We know Reggie is talking about Antonius. He is verbalizing the deep guilt he carries about how he handled his relationship back on Earth. He feels he took Antonius for granted, and he is trying to explain why he is willing to tear hell apart to save him.
But put yourself in Bartholomew's shoes for a second. Let's look at the data Bartholomew has. Reggie swore a blood oath to protect him. Reggie went along with a fake boyfriend routine. Reggie sat through a terrible theater show just to spend time with him.
The evidence is mounting.
Bartholomew hears the phrase, the guy you didn't deserve, and his brain short-circuits. Bartholomew assumes instantly that Reggie is talking about him.
Bartholomew's response is just heartbreakingly eager. He cuts Reggie off and says, Reggie, we're talking about me. Okay, it's my turn to express. He believes, in that fleeting moment, that the subtext is finally becoming text.
Oh, it hurts to read.
He thinks Reggie is admitting that he ignored his feelings for Bartholomew, but is now realizing his mistake.
It is the ultimate tragedy of miscommunication. They are inches apart, both vibrating with these massive unspoken feelings, but the timing is off.
The second Bartholomew realizes his error, the second he realizes Reggie is mourning a ghost from Earth, not declaring his love in the safe house, the psychological drawbridge snaps shut.
You can practically hear the armor clanking back into place. Bartholomew pivots so fast it gives you whiplash. He immediately deflects, adopting his cynical persona, and says, yeah, that's Casellas for me.
Just fully retreats.
And then he completely shuts down the emotional channel. He physically pulls back and says, I don't like getting mushy. That got weird there for a second.
It is a textbook defensive retreat. The proximity to rejection was too high.
I think of it like this. Imagine two people standing in a room and they both desperately want to kiss each other. But instead of leaning in, they are both holding up large framed photographs of their exes right in front of their faces.
That's a great visual.
They keep bumping the frames together, trying to connect, but the photographs are physically blocking them. The exes aren't even really in the room. They are just shields being used to manage the terror of the present moment.
That is a phenomenal analogy. Antonius and Casellas have ceased to be active participants in this dynamic. They are rhetorical devices. Bartholomew brings up Casellas not because he misses him, but because saying, I'm doing this for Casellas is much safer than saying, I'm doing this for you and I'm terrified you don't feel the same way.
But the very fact that Bartholomew immediately assumed Reggie was confessing to him proves a massive point. Bartholomew knows. His subconscious recognized the weight of their bond and jumped at the opportunity.
To truly understand why Reggie is so bound by this guilt regarding Antonius and why he keeps that photograph held so tightly in front of his face, we have to pull the camera back. We have to look at what is happening simultaneously up on Earth.
Because it's bad.
Because the narrative constructs a brilliant, terrifying foil to what is happening in hell.
While Reggie is battling demons and attending terrible theater to save him, Antonius is back on Earth, grieving. He believes Reggie is gone forever. And in his grief, Antonius has been swept up into a new relationship with an incredibly wealthy, powerful man named Ruvadius.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, contrast Reggie and Bartholomew with Antonius and Ruvadius. In hell, you have a situationship that refuses to label itself as a relationship, but is built on a foundation of absolute truth, mutual sacrifice, and genuine care.
Right.
On Earth, Antonius believes he is in a socially validated, clearly defined real relationship, but the foundation of that relationship is entirely deceitful.
Ruvadius is a monster of a partner.
Mhm.
He decides to take Antonius on a romantic picnic. And where does he take him? To a public hillside during the Festival of Hercules.
Which is just cruel.
Now, remember the context. Reggie is the hometown hero. He is the local son of Zeus. Taking Reggie's grieving partner to a massive public gathering celebrating a Greek demigod is the most profoundly tone-deaf, triggering date you could possibly orchestrate.
It isn't just tone-deaf, it is maliciously calculated. Ruvadius wants Antonius to be overwhelmed. He positions him exactly where the public will swarm him.
And they do. The crowd recognizes Antonius. They corner him. They demand autographs. They aggressively ask him to speak on behalf of Reggie's legacy. It sends Antonius into a massive panic attack. He's utterly traumatized.
When Antonius finally manages to escape the mob and confronts Ruvadius, rightfully accusing him of setting up a traumatic scenario, we see the true mechanics of Ruvadius's abuse. He immediately deploys gaslighting. He invalidates Antonius's anger.
He doesn't just invalidate his anger, he attacks his sanity. Antonius has actual memories of the underworld, of the supernatural things he experienced with Reggie. Ruvadius dismisses all of it. He calls them delusions.
That's classic isolation tactics.
He threatens to institutionalize Antonius, saying he will send him away to Christian doctors in Constantinople to cure him of his crazy pagan beliefs. He isolates him, degrades his sense of reality, and positions himself as the only person who can fix him.
It is systematic psychological dismantling, and it culminates in a proposal. Ruvadius asks Antonius to marry him. But look at the language he uses. A marriage proposal should be about building a future. Ruvadius explicitly states his goal is to help Antonius cut that cord to Reggie.
He wants to erase them.
He wants to sever Antonius's past. During the wedding rehearsal, Antonius asks to leave one empty chair to honor Reggie's memory. Ruvadius aggressively refuses. He demands total erasure.
Which is horrifying on a purely human level. It's a textbook toxic relationship. But then the source material delivers a twist that completely recontextualizes everything. Down in hell, Reggie manages to consult an oracle, an entity known as the Seeress.
And the Seeress reveals the truth about the man Antonius is marrying.
Ruvadius isn't just an abusive rich guy. Ruvadius is a physical avatar of Satan.
It is a stunning revelation that explains the mechanics of the earthly plot. I mean, why would the devil spend his time gaslighting a widow in Greece?
Right, he has hell to run.
Because of supernatural bureaucracy. Antonius had previously managed to escape hell. In the meticulous, obsessive record-keeping of the underworld, Antonius's missing soul is a glaring administrative error, a blemish on Satan's perfect record.
Satan can't just drag him back by force, presumably because of some cosmic loophole. He needs Antonius to willingly bind himself to darkness.
Oh.
So Satan assumes the form of Ruvadius, orchestrates a relationship built on manipulation and isolation, and uses the sacred institution of marriage as the legal contract to bind Antonius' soul and drag him back to the pit.
The dramatic irony is almost physically painful. Reggie's tearing through the underworld, risking eternal damnation, driven by the belief that he is acting out of pure love to save Antonius.
He has no idea.
Reggie is completely unaware that the relationship Antonius is in is a literal demonic trap designed to enslave him.
And even more tragic, Reggie is entirely blind to the fact that the truest, purest, most supportive love he has ever experienced is currently sitting next to him in a grimy safe house, sketching out escape routes on stolen spider silk.
Yeah.
Satan uses the label of marriage as a weapon to destroy a soul. Reggie and Bartholomew refuse to label their bond because doing so in hell makes it a target.
That realization fundamentally changes the stakes. It elevates their dynamic from a complicated friendship to a tragic romance operated under apocalyptic pressure. And that pressure is about to reach a boiling point.
Right as Reggie processes the horror of Satan's plan, their temporary peace in the safe house is shattered. Koloff, the green demon, bursts in with terrifying intelligence from the streets.
Satan has realized that Reggie is a legitimate threat to his plans. He has issued a decree. A massive, unprecedented bounty has been placed on Reggie's head. He is wanted dead or alive, and every mercenary, assassin, and bounty hunter across the circles of hell is now actively hunting him.
Reggie is suddenly the most valuable commodity in the underworld. And Reggie, because he is fundamentally a hero, looks at the reality of the situation. He looks at Bartholomew. He sees a guy who has spent 20 years avoiding the spotlight, getting kicked around, surviving by remaining invisible.
And he tries to spare him.
Yeah, Reggie gives him an out. He tells Bartholomew that the mission just became a suicide run. He says, I have to do this, but you don't.
But the metaphysical trap they built for themselves snaps shut. Reggie swore the oath by Jupiter. He swore never to abandon Bartholomew. He cannot legally leave him behind without triggering a divine strike from Olympus.
So Reggie has to add the caveat. The only way I can try to stop Satan is if you choose to come with me.
This is the climax of Bartholomew's character arc in these sources. Remember how he started? He proudly accepted the title of coward. He was a water bitch who checked for possession marks before saying good morning.
Right.
And now he is staring at a demigod who's essentially asking him to ride into the mouth of madness.
Bartholomew knows exactly what will happen if they fail. He says it out loud. He tells Reggie that the pain Satan will inflict on him for treason will be incomprehensibly massive. He isn't suffering from false bravado. He is looking eternal agony square in the face.
He weighs that eternal agony against the reality of letting Reggie ride out of that safe house alone. And Bartholomew makes his choice. He looks at Reggie and says, fuck Hal, let's blow this joint and try.
Why does he do it? It has nothing to do with Casellas. Casellas is safe. He makes the conscious decision to embrace likely destruction entirely for Reggie. It is an act of pure, unadulterated devotion. They are going to war together because the thought of being parted is more terrifying than the legions of hell.
But they are tactically brilliant. They know they can't fight the entire underworld at once. They need a massive diversion. And this requires leveraging Bartholomew's past connections. They need to contact Jezebel.
Oh, explain Jezebel's role in the infrastructure of hell, because this is fascinating world building.
Jezebel is essentially the premier broadcaster of the underworld. She controls the flow of information. Think of her as running a massive, supernatural pirate radio station that reaches every circle of the damned.
Wow.
She used to be Bartholomew's mentor before his cabal demoted him to water boy.
So Bartholomew reaching out to her is a massive gamble. But it works. And it works specifically because of how Reggie has behaved. Jezebel agrees to utilize her network to broadcast a massive disinformation campaign. She sends out a sonic blast to every bounty hunter, claiming that Reggie has been spotted heading toward the pit because he supposedly found a secret portal leading straight to heaven.
It's the perfect bait. It sends the entire mercenary economy of hell stampeding in the exact wrong direction. But the reason Jezebel risks her own standing to do this is crucial.
She tells Reggie that his actions have not gone unnoticed. He hasn't acted like a conquering hero. He has eaten demon food, stayed in demon homes, and treated the damned with an inherent respect they haven't experienced in millennia. Jezebel reveals that there are secret factions forming. She calls them Reggie Rebels.
So, what does this all mean? It proves that Reggie and Bartholomew's bond isn't just a localized survival tactic. The way they treat each other, the loyalty, the respect, the unspoken love is radiating outward. By modeling a relationship based on mutual care in a realm entirely defined by cruelty, they are inadvertently sparking a sociological revolution in hell.
With the diversion broadcast echoing through the underworld, they gear up for the final push. Koloth supplies them with everything he has. He brings out 4 massive, terrifying hellhounds named Fred, Fiona, Darla, and Dex.
The best good boys and girls in hell.
Absolutely. They arm themselves with weapons forged from Hellstone.
And they're going to need every ounce of that preparation because their path requires them to ride through the territory of the Spawn of Ai. These are giant spiders, offspring of an ancient entity whose sheer proximity can induce madness.
The joking stops here. The fake boyfriend routines, the disastrous theater dates, the miscommunications in the safe house, it all strips away. They mount these massive, fiery beasts. They look at each other, fully comprehending the catastrophic violence they're about to ride into, and they move out together.
It is the ultimate crystallization of their dynamic, a situationship forged under the most extreme pressure imaginable.
Let's summarize exactly what we've witnessed here. We have watched two incredibly broken individuals navigate a nightmare landscape. We saw a terrified oath sworn in a stolen bed. We saw Bartholomew slip into the role of a hypersexualized fake boyfriend just a little too easily.
We definitely did.
We cringed through a disastrous date watching severed hands and avant-garde dildos. We felt the heartbreak of two men missing each other's emotional cues by mere inches. And finally, we watched a self-proclaimed coward mount a hellhound to ride against the devil himself, just so his friend wouldn't have to die alone. Reggie and Bartholomew's journey is the absolute subversion of a traditional love story.
It really is.
They are entirely too scared to define what they are. They're too traumatized to put a clear label on it, but they're absolutely, unequivocally willing to die for each other.
It holds up a fascinating mirror to how we operate outside of the underworld, too. I want you to think about your own relational history. Have you ever utilized a label or the explicit, stubborn refusal to use one as a defensive barrier?
Oh, that's a tough question.
How often do we bring up the ghosts of our past, our own versions of Antonius or Casellus, to avoid the terrifying vulnerability of the person standing right in front of us? We convince ourselves that remaining aloof, that keeping things in the situationship phase protects us from pain. But often, those walls are the exact mechanisms ensuring we miss out on profound connection.
We think we are playing it smart, protecting our hearts, but we're just missing the moment. It's a tragedy of our own making. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over. We've spent this entire hour analyzing how their refusal to name their relationship is a trauma response, a failure of communication, a fear of vulnerability. Right. But look at the universe they inhabit. Look at Ruvadius on Earth, using the sacred label of marriage as a legal contract to enslave a soul. Look at how a declared allegiance in hell instantly puts a bounty on your head.
It's dangerous to be known.
Is it possible that in a world as chaotic, as destructive, and as deeply manipulative as hell, or even our modern world, is it possible that a situationship isn't a failure to commit at all? Maybe it is the ultimate, most highly evolved survival mechanism.
Wow.
When you name a love, you make it visible. You give it edges, a shape, and you make it a concrete target for the Satans of the world to exploit. Maybe when you're surrounded by monsters, refusing to name your love is the most profound, powerful way to keep it alive.
It completely flips the paradigm. The silence between them isn't a lack of love. The silence is the armor protecting the love from a universe that wants to destroy it.
Exactly. Sometimes the muddy waters are muddy for a reason. They keep you hidden from the predators. Keep your head down, hold on to your hellhounds, and we will see you on the next deep dive.